Hello my dear students, welcome back. In my previous video I had started this underwriting and SEBI guidelines, but I could finish only underwriting. So today I will explain you the different SEBI guidelines for underwriting. So let us start the SEBI guidelines. Now the first guideline on this underwriting is there was one guideline which was issued by SEBI in the year 1992, and it was mandatory for the companies to go for underwriting for full issue, and minimum requirement of 90% subscription was also mandatory for each issue of capital to public. However, as per the revised guidelines which were later issued by SEBI on 10/10/1994, underwriting was not then mandatory, and the issuers have the option of deciding whether the issue is to be underwritten or not. So these were like a few changes which were incorporated in the guidelines on underwriting in the year 1994. Along with this, the number of underwriters would also be decided by the issuer. So these were little changes which were incorporated by SEBI in the guidelines on underwriting, and now we have new guidelines on underwriting, and those guidelines were issued in the year 2011. Now the second guideline here on underwriting is, if the issue is not underwritten and if the minimum subscription of 90% of the offer to the public is not received, then what is going to happen? The entire amount received as subscription would have to be returned in full to the investors, right? Then the third guideline on this is, if the issue is underwritten and if the company does not receive 90% of the issued amount from public subscription plus accepted development from underwriters within 60 days of the opening of the issue, the company should refund the amount of subscription to the public. In case of disputed development, the company has to refund the subscription if this condition is not met. Now the next guideline on underwriting is the lead manager or managers must satisfy themselves about the net worth of the underwriters and the outstanding commitment and disclose the same to SEBI. A statement is to be prepared and has to be incorporated in the prospectus. And the last guideline on underwriting is, the underwriting agreement must be filed to SEBI. Now we'll discuss about underwriting agencies in India, starting with the first one, that is brokers. If I talk about these stock brokers, they have been underwriting issues from very early times, but their participation has been on ad hoc basis. When I talk about these brokers, their participation in the stock market has been only on ad hoc basis, as they have refrained themselves from underwriting activities at times. The primary emphasis of these brokers is on market potentiality of issues rather than the viability of issues. What these brokers do, these brokers primarily help in the placement of issues and seldom perform the real job of underwriters. These brokers, they usually do not assume risk or guarantee the buying of issue in case of non-subscription. Along with this, these private brokers they are interested only in short-term gains and are not interested to retain securities for a long period of time. So this is all about these private brokers. Now we have the next one, that is private investment and insurance companies. If I talk about India, there are many private investment companies, trusts and insurance companies which provide underwriting service in our country. In the late 30s, managing agents organized a number of companies and trusts like Industrial Investment Trust of Bombay and Birds Investment Limited, Calcutta, to underwrite mainly the issues of the companies managed by their managing agents. But later in the year 1997, the managing agency system it was abolished in India. When I talk about the nature of underwriting services which are undertaken by these private investment and insurance companies, it is very similar to the work which is performed by these brokers, and they are the major sub underwriters in the market. Now the next one is commercial banks. Since independence, or I can say since 1955, post after our independence, commercial banks have started playing a very vital and important role in the field of underwriting. But when compared to their resources, their participation in underwriting business has not been substantial. And these commercial banks usually are not interested in holding underwritten shares or debentures for a longer period of time. Now the next one here is development banks and other financial institutions. Since 1995, these development banks and many other lending direct financial institutions have emerged as a major group of underwriters in India. In addition to the direct finance to the companies, these development banks, what they do, they underwrite capital issues. They underwrite capital issues. The nature and purpose of underwriting a capital issue by these institutions is quite different from other underwriters. Their emphasis is on long-term viability of the issuing company rather than marketability of the securities. These institutions, when I talk about these developmental banks and other financial institutions, they help the enterprises by holding the underwritten shares or debentures not taken up by public for a long period. So this is all about these developmental banks and other financial institutions. Then we have next here, which is consortium underwriting. So what is this consortium underwriting here? In the recent years, various financial institutions and banks have started underwriting of capital issues through consultation and collaboration. Through consultations and collaborations of each other. Although there is no formal syndicate or consortium as such, yet it has become a very important form of underwriting of capital issues in India. Thank you so much for watching this video.